Lads, and welcome back to the Off the Line podcast. Today, second recording of the evening.
Yes.
Don't ever tell us we don't spoil you, because we do. We are back with the series that we left about 3 weeks ago?
No, only two.
We're back with Football FAQ.
Or Football Facts, because
Football
we only
Facts.
spit facts. Am I right, Sam?
Straight facts, mate.
Yeah. You know.
Straight. All right. Anyway, so we're going to do football FAQs. This episode, as promised, is a tier list episode. JB is literally the most excited I've ever heard him. He's been waiting to do a tier list episode on this podcast.
I love tier lists.
Good couple months. He's been very excited. And to be honest, so am I. We're going to do 2 tier lists today for you. We're going to rank the current Premier League managers from good to awful. The 5 tiers we've got are Mastermind, Double Decent, Underrated, then it goes down to I'd Rather Not, and then underneath In the Bin.
Or, should I call that, Hasn't Got a Clue. There we go.
Hasn't got a clue.
Like that better.
Hasn't got a Solomon Kalou.
I've got to put that now.
So that's the first one we're going to be doing, and I think we will introduce the next one. We'll leave you all in suspense for that
Keep watching.
for a bit later on. We apologise if you can't see this on Spotify. That's your fault.
Grow up.
Honestly, get a life. What are you doing?
We're joking.
Should be able to, we can't imprint this onto your brain, so that's your fault. Anyway, should we get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
By the way, these are in no particular order. This was just how we found them, so we've just gone with it. The first manager, Wodger Wabbit Wham Wham Witchman Cobban Wabbin, Roy Hodgson.
Oh, yes. Love that from you, Sam.
Roy Hodgson.
Roy.
Been around the block a long time, Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
I think he is the oldest manager to manage in the Premier League.
Facts. Football facts.
He's been at many teams, doing many jobs. I think he's all right.
If you'd have asked me this after the Iceland game 4 years ago...
Oh, in the bin.
Yeah.
Hasn't got a clue.
Hasn't got a clue.
I think for just by the virtue of the Iceland game, I would put him in I'd Rather Not. Because if you asked me, would I like Roy Hodgson as manager, I would turn around and say, I'd rather not.
I wouldn't want him at West Ham.
I'd rather not.
I'm going to agree.
You know,
we're going to put him there now.
After the Euros taking Jack Wilshere after he played 13 minutes of football all season, I'd rather not.
It's gonna take a lot of healing for me to like Roy Hodgson again. After the Euros and after even the World Cup.
It was a pretty damaging evening for everyone involved. I think we can agree.
Mentally, yeah.
I think next one you're gonna have to put aside some bias on this one. It's Big Slav, the Slavan Bilic of the Premier League. Slavan Bilic. No, Jamie, you cannot have him in Mastermind, Jamie. The best thing he did at West Ham was bring Payet, and he left.
That makes me sad.
Realistically, what has he achieved, Slavan Bilic?
Promotion from the Championship with West Brom.
Yes,
and also an 8th place finish with West Ham in the 15-16 season, and the best season of my life. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. I'm going to get sad. Let's just rate him.
All right.
I think it's unfair to judge him off just this season because he's coming with
a
hopeless West Brom squad, and I think with a better squad, better people around him, I personally think he's an underrated manager.
I will go with you because I don't want you to cry this early in the video. I'll agree with you because 5 minutes into recording, we cannot have Jamie blubbering like a girl.
Well.
Right. Anyway, arguably one of the most tactically aware managers in Premier League history.
I've put him there already.
Steve Bruce. Do you know what? I'm going to argue he doesn't go there. Because hasn't got a clue would suggest that they don't have an idea what football they want to play. This man has got a clear vision of the football he wants to play.
Yeah, but now, it's just a shame that it's shit.
It is shit, but he's got a clue. He understands.
It's the wrong
awful to watch.
It's the wrong
but he
clue,
does get Jamie. He does get results every now and then.
I know.
He's not getting a team relegated.
Let's look at it purely as a manager. I think he does drill his teams quite well defensively, and that does cause for some extremely negative and boring football. But I will give Steve Bruce his dues and say that as a manager, he's not clueless. So, but
he's not underrated.
I'm not
putting
him in underrated, but he's below Roy.
If he asked you to be manager of West Ham, what would you say, Jamie?
I'd rather not. Did you plan it like that? Did you want me to say that?
I did. I set you up.
Good. Right, let's go to the next one.
Speaking of boring football, this is the emperor of boring football, the overlord of dull 4-4-2, Sean Dyche, the man who ate worms as a child.
Needs a strepsil.
And again, for the same reasons as Bruce, I think he's got to go, and I'd rather not.
I'm going to completely disagree with you.
Oh.
I think he's double decent.
Oh, okay.
I think he has been criminally let down by his club. I think he has brought Burnley up through the ranks, and he even took them to a Europa League campaign. And I think that is fast forgotten when Burnley have had the start to the season like they have. And I think when you look at Burnley, we saw it in the transfer roundup. They didn't sign a player, Sam. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
they haven't. They haven't for years. And Sean Dyche has consistently given them top half Premier League finishes, and they've just had a really crap start to this season. So he's definitely a good manager.
He's very reliable. I will let you put him where you want to put him this one, because you've posed a very convincing argument. So I will let you have your way.
Well, okay, I'll put him above Bilic in the underrated section. I'll go in the middle.
Okay, I'll agree with you. Now your current manager,
Moise.
Most useful when he's sat at home, apparently.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
If this was Alan Irvine, our assistant manager, he'd be in mastermind.
I'll let you haul off on this.
Listen, I like David Moyes. I like the cut of his jib, Sam.
You changed your tone since the start of the year.
I know I have. Well, yeah, of course I have. We could have gone third the other day if we didn't bottle it against United. But that wasn't his fault. We had all the chances in the first half and we just didn't finish. So I actually think he's done a really good job this season. And at the start of the season, I would have said I'd rather not, but I actually think he's a double decent manager.
I do agree with you. I think he was always good at Everton. He always had them up playing well. I think he was let down at United because I think the squad that he inherited at Manchester United was massively overperforming under Sir Alex Ferguson. And Moyes just wasn't able to implement his footballing vision upon that club. He then took over at Sunderland, I think. David Moyes, am I wrong in saying that? I think he was Sunderland.
He had a couple of bad spells. He was at Sunderland for a bit, and then he was at Sociedad.
Taking over at Sunderland, that's a poison chalice. I mean, that is like signing a death certificate taking over there. Who knows? I do think he's a double decent manager, and I'd agree with you, especially given the fact that the club have massively let him down in the window. Yeah. Selling Grady Biancana. I think he was hung out to dry a little bit with that. So, yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
He's made the best out of a bad situation. And obviously, after his first stint at West Ham, he obviously got sacked at the end of the season after keeping us up. Pellegrini came in, it didn't work. And I was sceptical when he came back in for his second term, but I'm more than happy to be proved wrong by David Moyes. And I'd like to think that he will do a good job this season for us. So, yeah, double decent. We move on to another claret and blue manager. See that nice segue there? You should learn.
We're unintentionally creating pathways through this, and I'm really quite proud of it.
I like it. Dean Smith. What do you think?
I was very dismissive of Dean Smith at the start of the season. I said that his managerial style was disappointing, but I've been proven very wrong.
Yeah.
At the start of this year, and I think that Aston Villa look very good. Do I think that he is relying on the abilities of Tyrone Mings and Jack Grealish? Of course, but I can't blame him for doing that. If you've got the players, you may as well use them.
Yeah.
And I think he's set his team up in a way that brings the best out of their players. And I'd put him in underrated. I don't know if he's good enough to go up into double decent, but I think he is an underrated manager. I think he's someone that's overlooked in the conversation of the Premier League, especially considering how well Aston Villa are doing this season.
I look at Dean Smith and I really want to put him higher up, because I think if you look at his previous sort of managerial stints, especially at Brentford, where he was really good at, this is his first sort of foray into the Premier League, and obviously he just kept Villa up last season, but that was a tricky ask in the first place. I think last season's performance, it wasn't brilliant from Dean Smith, so I can't put him in double decent. But yeah, I'll go underrated, but I think he's a better manager than Bilic, so I'm going to put him in the middle. Just sandwich him in between Dyche and Bilic.
I'd agree with that. Dyche is far too iconic to go below Dean Smith.
This one's a tricky one. Chrissy Wilder. Going up north. What do you reckon, Sam?
Now, ask me this at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And I would have said double decent. Because his system was perfect. And it got Sheffield United where they needed to be. Now, that said, ask me that this season, and he is belligerently sticking to this system while they go without winning any games, I would put him in I'd rather not, because I think he is being far too stubborn in trying to stick with this system when it's so obvious he doesn't have the personnel.
I think you're exactly right. The loss of Jack O'Connell, I think, was huge for Chris Wilder, and I think you just don't have the players to play that three at the back anymore with what they have. I think, you look at their back three at the moment, what is it, Basham, Egan and Ampadu. It doesn't scream to me very stable. So I think you've either got to say, right, let's go to a full-back, protect the defence with a couple of defensive midfielders, your Lundstroms and your Sanderbergers, sit them in front of the four, which is Egan and Basham for me, and then try and get, still try and overlap those wing backs or something like that. But yeah, as you say, it's belligerently stubborn, and I don't know, and I think it's to Sheffield's detriment at the moment. So we'll see what happens with that.
How far down this rabbit hole is he going to drag them before he decides to change his mind on it?
It's so difficult. I don't think any of these tiers apply to him, because you look at double decent last season and you think, yeah, he was brilliant. Underrated, I don't think he's underrated. I think he's rated. I'd rather not. It seems harsh.
But I think he is there this year. I think he is there. I couldn't, after what he's doing this year and how woefully his system's failed and how easily the teams have picked holes in it, I can't put him on merit of his managerial system.
They keep losing 2-1, 1-0, that sort of. There's no drubbings in there.
No, but
it's still losses, isn't it?
Because they're playing a 5-back.
And their striking options are absolutely abysmal in Ollie Burke, Ollie McBurney, and obviously Ryan Brewster, David McGoldrick. They don't scream like Premier League players. And the decision to let Callum Robinson go looks a bad one as well. Yeah.
So who knows? Well, it's very difficult with Chris Wilder, because I know I'm going to upset someone if I put it in there. If I put it in I'd rather not. I know I'm going to upset people if I put it in double decent. I know I'm going to upset people if I put him in underrated. So
should I make his own tier?
No.
Sure?
No. We've got to stick to this. We've got to put him somewhere.
I could just put him in a Chris Wilder tier between underrated and I'd rather not.
One rule for one is one rule for all. We've got to make a decision. I'm going to put him in I'd rather not, purely because I think he's too stubborn to.
Okay, I'll go with you there, but he's definitely above Roy.
He's the top of I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But if someone asked me whether I'd want him to manage Chelsea, or if someone asked him whether I'd think he could manage West Ham, I'd say I'd rather not. I reckon.
Okay. Anyway, we go back down to Birmingham, and we go for Nuno Espirito Santo.
Portugal.
Can I create another tier called Portugal, please?
Portugal. Portugal, because he signs. It's funny because he signs a lot of Portuguese,
and he is Portuguese. Who'd have thought?
He's
I
created
like
a little. He's
Nuno.
created a little microeconomy, isn't he? He's created a little microeconomy.
Yeah, within the Black Country, there's just some.
There's just some. I don't know any Portuguese cuisine or culture at all. To be honest, there's just some.
Let's move on from
wearing
Portuguese stereotypes and talk about his management. He's consistently led Wolves to a upper top half finish, just outside of the top six. I think he's an absolutely quality manager. His form this season has been hit and miss very much. But I don't think you can put him anywhere under double decent.
Oh no, I go with you. I was worried you were going to go with Mastermind, but I don't think he's quite there.
He's not quite there. I'd definitely put him above Moyes though. So I think, do we put him there? There you go. There?
Yeah, above Moyes, definitely.
Yeah.
Give it Moyes there. Moyes.
Give it Moyes. Right. Scotty P.
Hasn't got a clue.
Yeah, I don't think he does. Although
I don't think he.
As of recording this, if you'd have said this 2 weeks ago, I'd have gone, hasn't got a clue. But he's changed up the system and it's working a little bit better for Fulham.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think they qualified last. They got up to the Premier League in the playoffs by virtue of Brentford not turning up in the final.
Yeah.
I think they've looked pretty average this season. I think the defence has looked woeful at times. They got a result against Leicester purely for the fact that Leicester, let's be honest, underperformed.
Yeah. And Fulham scored an absolute screamer. Ola Aina. Yeah. I didn't see that goal until the other day. It was absolute banger. But yeah, no, I'd be inclined to agree with you. Hasn't got a clue is harsh for Scott Parker, but I will say he hasn't got a clue yet.
Out of
very
all the managers,
inexperienced.
Someone has to go there, and I can see one more person that's going to go in that. Two more people that's going to go in that little tier at the bottom. But no, Scotty P, I think, hasn't got a clue, and I think I stick to my prediction that he'll be one of the first managers to go this year because I can't see Fulham holding out for much longer.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my favourite managers in the Premier League.
Yeah, I like
Mr. Graham Potter. Purely for having the footballing, purely for having
here we go.
The bravery to try and play attacking football with a relegation side.
They're not a relegation
to have
side.
that. No, but I you look at Brighton's squad. They're not. It's not out of the realms of possibility to say that they could be down there. But I think Graham Potter's actually playing a very good system. I think he's utilising
because they're lost. They're below Arsenal.
Yes, they are, but I think that they have been unlucky. I think they've been unlucky this season in a few games not to get results. But I more like the way that he plays football. I like the fact that he uses creative ideas. I like the fact that he makes the use of wing backs, and he's got players like Connolly in his team who are really entertaining to watch. I think I don't dislike watching Brighton.
Yeah,
they've
had a tricky start to the season as well with some of the results. I think undeservedly, you look at the Manchester United game in the early game weeks, and I think, as you say, Brighton are an attacking side. They've got that 5-back with Lamptey running up the right. I know that you like Lamptey a little bit. I don't know if that's been mentioned in the previous episodes or not. I'm happy to put him in underrated.
Yeah, I would say underrated. I don't think people realise quite how good he is. I think better than Bilic, not as good as Dean Smith or Sean Dyche. I would agree with you.
There we go. Lovely. This is an interesting one. Hasenhüttl. I really like Ralph Hasenhüttl.
Do you know what? I would say put him in double decent. I think he's done a phenomenal job.
I'm actually going to agree with you.
I think he's done a phenomenal job with Southampton.
Yeah, when he comes in and obviously he hit one of his first games in charge was that 9-0 drubbing at St Mary's. It's never going to look good, but he's got the best out of a lot of players in that side. Che Adams was looking like he was out without a hope, and he's come in and he's nurtured his talent, and he's looking really good this season. Obviously, Danny Ings is unbelievable, and that can only be as a result of the tutelage of Hasenhüttl. So I've got to say he's in double decent. Would you put him sort of above Moisey, below Moisey, after Nuno, before Nuno?
I would actually put him above Nuno and above Moisey.
Really?
I think he's done with the players at his disposal at Southampton. I think he's got the best out of players like Shea Adams, and I mean to get a tune out of Theo Walcott again after all these years.
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse. He's got Danny Ings scoring goals.
Yeah.
Ryan Bertrand even he's got playing really well. You know, he's got Southampton again being a team that no one wants to play.
Yeah. You know, he's even got Carl Walker-Peters playing. And I think that's one of the most impressive parts about it.
That is credit to
no disrespect to Carl
fantastic managerial skill.
Yeah, he's very good.
He's a great manager.
He's come from Germany, really exciting. He knows he's got a DNA of what he wants to play, and I think a lot of the players buy into that. And I think it's a very good manager. But I'm going to put him below Nuno because Nuno's done it for a couple of seasons now.
You disagree on that, but I'll agree to allow you to have your because you've got control of it. I'll agree to have.
Yeah, but when you think about it, Southampton haven't finished higher than Wolves past couple of seasons. Obviously, it's a different kettle of fish with Nuno because he sort of just gets these Portuguese players in from all around the world, and they're just quality. But I think,
See, I reckon Southampton will be where Wolves are in 2 years.
Do you reckon?
Keep him in charge. Yeah. I reckon Southampton will be where Wolves are in 2 years if they keep him in the job. I'll let you keep him there. At the moment, I don't agree with you, but I can understand your reasoning. Okay. So I will hold fire. The next one, ex-Liverpool, Mr. Brendan Rodgers.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Do you like my impression?
Obviously won trophies. No. Obviously won trophies.
Oh.
Obviously won trophies at Celtic.
Easy, I could do that.
Are completely and utterly meaningless because I'm not being funny. You could put my left nut in charge of Celtic. Put a suit on it.
Right,
and
I've got to make this episode
SPL.
explicit now on Spotify. Cheers for that.
Yeah, well, lucky people. Lucky people. Yes, I would put this man in double decent. I think he's done a great job at Leicester. I think he did a good job at Liverpool.
The double decent. I think you're a madman.
I think he did a great job at Liverpool. Very nearly won the league. You know, but for Steven Gerrard not being able to stay on his feet, he very, very nearly won the league with them, and that is and
obviously not bottling it at Selhurst Park vis-a-vis Cristiano.
Yeah, Cristiano.
Yeah, what a night that was, eh? Anyway, yeah, I thinking about it, I think he's better. He's better than Nuno. He's better than Hasenhüttl.
I think he's the best in that bracket of double decent.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on to. I think we sort of tried to save the best ones for last.
Yes.
We'll go to Don Carlo.
Now, if you put this man anywhere other than Mastermind,
I'm sticking him there right now.
Yeah, 20 trophies as a manager.
Yeah.
He's won 3 Champions Leagues, 1 Premier League, 1 FA Cup, 1 Spanish Cup, 1 Bundesliga, 1 Italian Cup, 1 French Championship, 2 FIFA Club World Cups.
Has Sam looked up his Wikipedia page?
2 German Super Cups and a Community Shield.
He's quite good, isn't he?
I'm sorry. That's enough for me. If
me.
anyone here wants to try and claim that this man is anything below a mastermind, you're waffling.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
2.
A man who made it into ESPN's top 10 coaches of the year for winning the championship.
By virtue of that, does he go into mastermind? Sam?
I don't want him to.
Why?
Because I don't think he is a mastermind. I don't want to put him, a man. I don't want to put him in the same bracket as someone who's won 3 Champions Leagues.
But
I just don't feel like.
I'm just talking about him as a football manager.
I know, but it's just. You look at them. You look at the managers down the line, right? You look at Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Jose Mourinho. Is Marcelo Bielsa in the same bracket as them?
Well, when you've got Pep Guardiola, saying that Bielsa is the best manager in the league, you've got to sit up and take notice.
Of course. But Pep Guardiola loves to gas people up before City play them.
Mauricio Pochettino sings his praises as well. He's quite good at management.
What does he know?
Agenda alert. I'm going to start putting that in all the YouTube videos. I'm just going to put agenda alert.
Personally, I would put him at the top of double decent because I don't think he's done enough at big clubs to warrant.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with you. He's definitely at the top there.
He's at the top. He's at the top of double decent. I just don't think he's done what the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Jose Mourinho have done, right at the top end of the game, to warrant being accepted into mastermind.
I just think he gets the best out of players. You know, Leeds were in the doldrums of the Championship, you know, struggling when he got there, and he's taken that squad, and he's made absolutely blinding talents like Calvin Phillips in the midfield is just one of the many examples, and he's changed the DNA of Leeds, and they're a scary team to come up against as a newly promoted side. But I think when you look at Leeds, you think, right, that's not a game that you can take lightly. And I don't know, I just think no other manager has done that before, come up from the Championship and been feared by the top teams.
Jamie, whilst I agree with you, and whilst I agree that they weren't feared, Chrissy Wilder took Sheffield United from League One to the Premier League in much the same way. So,
okay,
you know, you could sit here and argue about this for days on end, but I don't think he's quite at the top end of the game yet.
Okay,
that's my opinion. Top of double decent, fantastic. I don't think he's a mastermind.
Okay.
Also, he spies on people. So, anyway. Moving on to...
I thought it would have been a really good segue if Lampard was there. But yeah, no.
Yeah, but he isn't. I get my stay of execution on talking about Frank Lampard. Mastermind, Pep Guardiola.
He's not a fraud.
He's not a fraud.
He's a little bit of a fraud. He's not, though.
He's not a fraud.
He's not a fraud.
He's not. He's just not. It's just... I mean, people can argue that he's always been at big clubs. He has always been at big clubs. But the man has won a lot of trophies. So, I mean,
I think tactically, he's one of the best tactical managers.
Yeah,
the world has ever seen.
I don't know if anyone's seen that the documentary on Amazon. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it.
The City one, All or Nothing.
The City one, All or Nothing. If you haven't seen it, the way he does team talks is very interesting. If you haven't seen it, he's very passionate in the way he talks in the dressing room, and I think that. You can tell that he understands football. You know, he's definitely got a nous for football. You know, and City, I think, have actually had a knack in the last few seasons of bringing in players that. I mean, how many City signings can you say in the last few seasons that have underperformed? You know,
Ben
especially because Ben Mendy hasn't so much underperformed as just been injured all the time.
If I had a list in front of me, I could have named a few, but you know, when you spend, I don't know what the exact figure is on defenders, and still, you know, go into games thinking that you can get a goal past City. You do have to question his defensive tactical nous. I mean, attacking is insane. You know, he plays some of the most beautiful attacking football the world has ever seen. Without a doubt, you know, the tiki-taka, sort of when he came in at Barcelona, it was wonderful, it was amazing. You know, you think of those teams back in the day.
I do think he's benefited from having, you know, having the best players. But you could say the same about Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
You know, he won the Champions League with AC Milan and Real Madrid. And this is when AC Milan were a force to be reckoned with. You know, they had Pirlo in the side when he won it with them. They were not the team that they are now. They were a fantastic side. And I don't think that you win trophies without being a great manager.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because great players will only get you so far, but you have to know how to put that team together to win trophies. This man is the only manager in Premier League history to have got to 100 points, and I think that is creditable.
Yeah, no, I'll jump with you on that. He's a mastermind of football, one of the finest managers ever. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Well, talk to us about it. Go on, give us a DM. We'll talk to you. Anyway, definitely. Stop crying, Frank Lampard. So I didn't mean to say that. Go on, Sam. Have you got to be impartial here? I mean, you don't have a fantastic track record of being impartial.
Can't be impartial. Frank Lampard took over Chelsea, taking over from Maurizio Sarri, who was a manager who was very highly rated coming into Chelsea from Napoli. Played a very rigid style of football with a very rigid mindset, and I think we had a season of watching extremely boring, dull football with mediocre results. Frank Lampard took over. We had a transfer embargo. We sold David Luiz and Eden Hazard. We loaned out Alvaro Morata, and Frank Lampard was essentially left with a team half filled with youth players who'd never played at Premier League level. Tamori, Tammy Abraham, Hudson-Odoi, Mason Mount, Reece James, and a group of players that now probably don't even get into our first team. You talk about Giroud potentially does get into our first team, but that's when everyone's fit. He maybe doesn't. Aspilicueta was our right back last year. Rudiger, Christensen. These are all players that we have replaced now. And he managed to guide us to a top 4 finish last season with a team that I don't think was good enough to finish in the top 4 personally.
No.
I don't think
nobody was expecting top 4 from Lampard.
No, this was the thing. The general feeling at Chelsea was top 8, brilliant, great season. We outplaced last season Tottenham, who had just been to a Champions League final. We outplaced Arsenal, who'd had the opportunity to buy people in the summer. We outplaced Leicester, who looked really good last year.
And you've got to say as well, the finishing in the top 4 was the springboard for this sort of money cash flow coming through from Abramovich. You come out, you're not going to get players like Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Thiago Silva without the attraction of Champions League football. Definitely. They're not going to come to Chelsea and sit and either just play in the Carabao Cup or the Europa League. They want to play at the top level, and I think if Lampard doesn't finish top 4, I think they have a completely different transfer window.
They do, and that's the thing. And if you listen to all these players that have been interviewed after they've signed, every single one of them has said, "Look, Frank Lampard played a massive part in me coming here," because I think that he does have a clear vision of where he wants us to go. He has a clear vision of the kind of football he wants to play. Yeah. And that is something that is really, really...
He gets a lot of flack as well, Lampard, I think.
Does get a lot of flack, because I think that because of who he is and because of the fact that he only just been playing, and especially because of underperforming managers like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Arteta, who played from the same generation, those two are underperforming. I think people are waiting for Frank Lampard to fall off, but I think he's done a much better job at Chelsea than those two are doing at their respective clubs. And you can talk about the money, but Chelsea's net spend over the last 2 windows has been 4 million. We sold Hazard for 115. We sold Morata for 60.
Yeah.
That's 185 million there. And then we sold a load of other players for 60 million. We've spent 4 million. What are we meant to do with transfer money? Just not spend it.
Yeah.
And you cannot bring up the money and say that he's been saved by that, because last season he took a very average Chelsea team and finished 4th. And that is the reason why we've been able to bring in all these players. I think he's massively underrated.
I think he gets the DNA of Chelsea, obviously, because he played there for donkey's years and was one of the... I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say it. He's Chelsea's best ever player. I'm sure you'll agree.
He is.
The
fans absolutely adore him.
Yeah. I think he's
I will let you put him.
I'm going to put him in double decent because he's not a mastermind just yet for me. I think I want to see him win something.
And I would put him beneath Nuno.
Yeah, I like that.
I'd put him there. I reckon he's there. He hasn't won anything yet. We'll see where this goes this year.
Yeah.
Chelsea have won for 4 games in a row in the Champions League for the first time.
Yeah.
Since we won it in 2012. That gets me excited.
Well, we'll see about the round of 16 draw. See what that holds for you first. But yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to someone who's just been knocked out of the Champions League. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
See, I want to say hasn't got a clue here, and I have multiple reasons why I'm going to argue it.
Okay.
I think that there's a few things you could say. The signing of Donny van der Beek is one of them. Just looks completely mindless and pointless. Whether how much he had to do with that, we don't know. But if he was involved, then that is a completely ridiculous waste of money to bring in a player like that.
Not because Donny van der Beek's a bad player at
all.
No,
because he's not. He's brought him in. He hasn't used him. He hasn't utilised him in any way.
But then he also oversaw the purchase of Bruno Fernandes.
He did, but Manchester United,
who admittedly is quite good at football.
Of course, but you could also argue that Bruno Fernandes is now rescuing his job on multiple occasions by coming in and saving games. He had to come into the West Ham game and save that game because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had started him on the bench.
Yeah, and I think back to the Leipzig game that's just happened this week. Starting with a back five is one of the most ridiculous decisions I've seen.
With a left back and centre back.
It was
he played Luke
suicidal defending. I don't mind having Luke Shaw as centre back in a back five. That's fine. Because I've seen Aaron Cresswell turn into a centre back this season. But what I'm saying is, it was so naive because that Leipzig are going to play a five at the back with Angelino and Haidara on both wings. Both wing backs, and what did they do? They scored because the defence hasn't got a clue how to play a five back. They don't have a clue. They've played 4 all season. They beat Leipzig 5-0 at Old Trafford with a 4 back, with 2 midfielders sitting in front of the back 4. So why change it? It's baffling to me when you go for a draw. Why would you change it up to a 5 at the back system? It baffles me. I don't get it. And they won the second half because they went to a back 4.
Yep.
And it just screams tactical naivety.
You've also got to remember, this is a man who was relegated with Cardiff.
Yeah.
He was relegated from the Premier League before. He's underperforming at Manchester United. And I don't care what they say about, points-wise, they are doing okay. But that is more to the point that they have got Bruno Fernandes, who comes in and completely takes control of games.
Yeah, I think I think he's relied on the talent of his players a lot. I think you look at players like Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial, who's inconsistent as all hell, and obviously he's had the Paul Pogba situation to deal with. But he's just, for me, he's not a good manager. And I think he is completely over-reliant on the players that he has at his disposal. So for me, I don't think he hasn't got
I'm going to be bold here and say something.
Go on.
You put Carlo Ancelotti in charge of that Manchester United team and they challenge for the title.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
I think they challenge for the title because I think he would understand where those players are meant to be played. He'd know how to get a tune out of Harry Maguire. He'd know how to get a tune out of Wan-Bissaka because you need a manager that has a very deep understanding of what these players are capable of. And it just seems as though Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't understand the players that he has at his disposal. You look at the game last night, half-time, he's got Luke Shaw playing centre-back, and he takes off his wing-back, Alex Telles, who he's just paid a load of money for in the summer. He takes him off.
Who's been really good, can I just say.
Who's been really good, takes him off, put Donny van der Beek on, another player who he signed in the summer, is really good, and he brings him on at half-time in games.
Mm.
And then later on in the game, he takes Luke Shaw off, another left-back, and puts Brandon Williams on the pitch, who, to all intensive purposes, is not very good.
Mm.
It seems as though in games, when he starts to panic, he just throws players at the game and hope that something will happen.
Yeah,
I think he's got
lucky
what happened
recently.
Against
West Ham. Definitely.
I think he's got lucky recently by the fact that basically Bruno Fernandes has taken games by the scruff of the neck and just got on with it. I think they were very fortunate to get a result against Brighton. I think that he's been relegated with Cardiff. He's gone out to Sweden, got a very cushy job at Malmo, just doing what he's doing. Mould, whatever. He's got a very cushy job at Mould. He's just doing what he's doing. He's been brought in as a Manchester United manager, and I think he's out of his depth. And I think he'll be gone.
But then you look at Project Restart. He was so good after Project Restart, and obviously at the start of his managerial stint at Man United, they came in the top four.
They did.
So I think it's harsh to say that he hasn't got a clue. When the going's good, I think he could be quite a good manager, but when things get tricky, that's when it all falls apart.
How long would you be willing to put up with maddening inconsistency?
I don't think he hasn't got a clue. I think he's here.
I'd rather not. I would put him, and I'd rather not. I don't think he hasn't got a clue.
I'm going to put this man here.
No. Jurgen Klopp is the best manager in this entire list.
I'm going to put this man here.
Jurgen Klopp is the best manager in this entire list.
Yeah, I was thinking from a longevity point of view.
Jurgen Klopp, in my mind, is the best manager in the world.
No, I think you're right.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
What he's done at Liverpool is nothing short of unbelievable.
Yeah, groundbreaking, isn't it? Sort of pressing
the players that he is getting world class performances out of.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about Liverpool's team now. Alisson, top 5 keepers in the world,
probably one of the best. Maybe top
5 keepers in the world.
2.
Trent, probably the best right back in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, best centre back in the world.
Yeah.
Andy Robertson, top 3 left backs in the world.
Probably the best.
Jordan Henderson, I'd put as one of the best defensive midfielders in the world now.
Yeah.
And he's probably got. I mean,
and you think
in
of
my
Fabinho,
mind, he's
one of the finest, and then you think Wijnaldum, although he isn't finishing his contract, still one of the better players in his position. And then that front 3, it speaks for itself. Really, it's absolutely wonderful.
Manufactured by Jurgen Klopp. That front 3,
yeah.
He knew what he wanted. And that is the thing. Jurgen Klopp had his first couple seasons at Liverpool. Right, he had a basis for a team. He had Jordan Henderson there. He had bare bones. He had bare bones of a team. He had Milner. He had workhorses, which is what was left for him by Brendan Rodgers. He had a team of workhorses, and he decided, right, played a couple seasons with them, had half decent years, leaked goals, leaked results, but you were always going to. And he turned around to the board and he said, right,
back
Andy Robertson, back me, give me the money.
Yeah,
and
you go out. Salah, he was 40 million. Mane was
the two big signings that he said they went to the Champions League final and they lost the Champions League final because of their goalkeeper. And he turned up to the board and said, "Look, I need the world's best centre back and I need the world's best goalkeeper, and I'll win you the Champions League." End of story. Just spend whatever you want to spend. I want Van Dijk and Alisson, and you just give them the money that they're asking for, and I'll win you the Champions League
and the league.
They signed Van Dijk, they signed Alisson. First season win the Champions League, next season win the Premier League.
Yeah,
he knew exactly what he needed to win these trophies.
Yeah,
absolutely everything. And the passion that they play with.
Yeah,
the passion that
they all buy into it.
I've never seen a team unit like it in the Premier League. Yeah. I've never seen a team unit that looks so together and so concise. It's unbelievable.
I think his man management is also second to none in the world. You think of. He's very good tactically, obviously, but I think the way that he is with his players, you can have the best players in the world. If you don't manage them properly, they're not going to perform for you. Jurgen Klopp has created this culture that the whole squad buys into, and the whole squad wants to win every single match that they go to, and absolutely just play the other team off the pitch. And I think that has been so good for Liverpool. And he's one of the I'd say he's one of the best managers in the world right now, if not the best.
The best.
And Jurgen Klopp, what a man! What a lovely bloke as well.
He is. He seems. I'm a bit moany recently, but seems alright. And pains me to say it because my relationship. The next one, my relationship with Jose has gone up and down. I used to absolutely adore him when he was at Chelsea. I put him above Pep Guardiola. I reckon Jose's there.
Wow.
Because
putting aside agendas.
Do you know what? Jose Mourinho in 2004 shook up the world.
Yeah.
Because Jose Mourinho went to Sir Alex Ferguson, Premier League winning, title winning Manchester United, and knocked them out of the Champions League at Old Trafford with Porto, a competition he went on to win with Porto. And that was when he wrote his name on the masthead of "I am one of the best managers in the world." He knew he was. He came to Chelsea. There was the special one speech. He then won 2 Premier Leagues in 2 seasons.
Inter, Real.
One of the most prolific trophy winners of the last.
He's the bagsman of managers.
Yeah, when Jose comes in, you're going to get a trophy. And I would agree that Spurs will win trophies under him as well. Yeah. I think that he is.
Hopefully not the Premier League, because I will stop watching football. Go
on. I'm with you on that, but I do think that he has the ability to he gets something out of his teams. Again, if you haven't seen the Amazon documentary, go and watch it. You get a real insight into his managerial style. It's really interesting. But when he first came into football in 2004, he was at Porto, and the way he played football was almost revolutionary. He came into Chelsea, and we played with Claude Makelele, Idaho Johnson, Joe Cole, Damien Duff, and he played a defensive style.
Sam's just drooling as he says this.
It hadn't been seen before, and I think he reinvented the way that people saw the game, much like Pep Guardiola did with his tiki-taka. I think Mourinho, came up with this way of playing football that was new and it was fresh, and I think that is the mark of a mastermind, when you actually reinvent the game.
Yeah, all those top 3-4 managers there have all reinvented the game in a way. I think Klopp comes in at Dortmund with his gegenpressing style, constant pressure, and all of his players work hard as hell. You look at Mourinho and his defensive style and the way he revolutionised the game, as you say, after 2004, counter-attacking, and then you look at Pep Guardiola and you think he's the forefront of tiki-taka football. And Carlo Ancelotti is just one of the best attacking coaches in the world.
It's total football. Yeah. Carlo Ancelotti is just pure football in its purest form.
Yeah,
it's so Italian. But no, I think Mourinho, you can't argue it. Won the Champions League with Inter, won the Champions League with Porto, won the league, I think, everywhere he's been. I'm not sure if he won it with Inter, but he definitely...
And Chelsea.
Won it with Real Madrid.
Second time.
He won it with Chelsea, second time, 2015.
Okay. Sorry.
Won it with
fart.
Chelsea twice. It's fantastic. I can't... As much as I dislike the fact that he's managing Spurs, I can't turn my agenda down enough to doubt him.
Yeah, so, I think his problem at United is that a lot of those players didn't buy into his way of thinking. And I think, he always says the blame, he doesn't get backed in the transfer window. And there's always arguments about, 3-season syndrome with Jose. But he's just such a good manager. He's just got one of the finest footballing brains in the game, and I think it'd be harsh to put him anywhere under mastermind.
The only issue with Jose is a time limit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
there's no longevity. Last one. Mikel. Been waiting for this.
Yeah. Go on, Sam.
I don't know. I'm really pre-thought about this one. Because
I think it's harsh to put a manager in hasn't got a clue after he's won an FA Cup.
Yes. I do agree with you.
I also think it's harsh to put someone who has never managed before in underrated.
Yes, I don't think he's underrated. Because I don't think he's very good. So
I think this is another one of those which is like, Arteta... Oh, shit. Oh, no, I've fucked it. Right, I'm going to put him there, but that's not where I'm finishing him, obviously.
Okay, that's where I'd finish him personally. I think the FA Cup, they won it by virtue of.
Sorry, I thought you were just going to say the FA Cup. They won it. Yep, that's a fact.
They did well to win that game. Whether they deserve to win the final is another thing. I think he towards the back end of last season owed a lot to Aubameyang. If I'm honest, scored a goal in the semi, scored 2 goals in the final.
When he's not scoring,
they look woeful.
Crap.
They look woeful. When Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang isn't performing, Mikel Arteta's managerial system falls completely flat on its face. And they look suddenly unbelievably average. Their results this season: 3-0 against Aston Villa, absolutely wiped off the park in every facet of the game.
Yeah,
that's unarguable. They
Wolves too,
beat United. United were in a form slump at the time. You look at the back end last season, beaten by Brighton, looked tactically hopeless against Tottenham at the weekend.
Yeah.
They scream of a ship without a proper captain on it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's a severe lack of leadership in the Arsenal camp at the moment. Everywhere you look, I think he's a fantastic manager. I think he speaks 6 languages. He loves all his players. So I think it's harsh to put him in and hasn't got a clue, because he does. Because he's worked under Guardiola and he's seen the way he works. So
that's different. Is he a good assistant manager or is he a good manager?
If you're talking about purely management and you look at his results so far, I don't know. I can't put him in hasn't got a clue. Not after an FA Cup win. Not after an FA Cup win.
I just. But he's at the bottom end of I'd rather not. Then I don't see him going anywhere.
He's got to be above Brucey, surely.
No, not above Brucey. Brucey's done well this season. Newcastle are above him.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, that's the first tier list done. Oh Christ.
That's the first tier list done. How long have we been going?
I don't know.
We might need to cut this episode down a little bit.
51 minutes.
Okay. We might need to split this episode into 2.
Do we leave it there? Or do we...
We can leave it there. We can come back. I mean, if you boys want... We could cut it and then just record the next one and release that as a later episode.
Yeah, let's do that.
Wonderful. We might have to edit this bit out of us discussing what we're going to do with them.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, you outro us then, Sam.
All right, boys. Well, that's the end of this one. We've completely changed our mind on what we're going to do with the tier list because that conversation went on for far too long. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cut this one and release the next episode of FAQs as a kind of 2.5 to the tier list episode. And the next one, just so you come back, will be a conversation about the clubs in the Premier League and whether they could be considered big clubs or not.
Yeah.
So that is...
Going to ruffle some feathers, going to make some people upset.
Yeah. Tottenham fans especially be coming back because I've got some things to say. Anyway, it's always been...
Agenda alert. Anyway, sorry.
It's been fantastic.
As always, friend.
I hope that we haven't caused any issues by putting Scott Parker at the bottom. I know...
Sorry, Rob.
Fulham fans probably won't like that. Sorry, Rob. But, argue. I like an argument.
Yeah.
I don't think you can disagree with that list personally at any facet. But, if you've got opinions, stick them down in the YouTube comments. Drop us a message on the socials. We'll have an argument with you. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Turn my bell on. And, we will catch you next time.
Cheers, lads.